Welcome to Solve This Murder. I'm your detective, Bill.
And I'm your crime scene criminal and witnesses, Dani. We're on part 7 of 5 Little Pigs.
In part 6, we spoke with Angela, who had a vague memory of tampering with a beer bottle.
Angela also revealed a letter from Carolyn when she was in jail that did seem to suggest that she believed Angela had committed the crime.
Angela also remembered one final spicy secret. Philip and Carolyn were having an affair. Okay, I have, from the end of last episode, a list of questions. I'm going to recount them now for people because it's been a week probably since you've listened to it. Some of you may be listening, either because it's been a while or because you're on the Patreon, but most people, it's probably been a week. So, I have a list of questions for Meredith. Obviously, a recount of the day, his opinions on other people, what happened at the lunch, what happened when you discovered the body, etc. Well, he didn't discover the body, but you know, all that jazz. But my more specific Meredith questions.
Poison?
Pipettes, because I want to know what this small glass vial was, or small glass thing was.
Yep.
Mystery box. Angela remembers touching a box, and I want to know what that box was. Missing hemlock. When did he lose the hemlock? What's going on with the hemlock? I don't want to ask again about the hemlock. The tour. What happened on the tour? What's his hemlock story? He told a terrible hemlock story. I'd love for him to tell it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love Carolyn? Do you love Elsa? Let me see that painting. This is my list of questions as I head to the Meredith Blake estate.
Because this is landed gentry that we're talking about, it is some amount of walking distance from the crime scene house.
Oh, yeah.
But you do get to pass it.
Is it like a next-door house? I suppose it must be if they toured his laboratory.
Look, yes, with like a river in between and things like that. So
dell,
it's a bit of a
glen.
It's a trek.
Sure.
It's an afternoon.
Yeah. Yep. Lovely. I head over to Blake House.
A modestly dressed servant answers the door for you. Says, "Oh, yes, quite.
Quite what?
I'll get Mr. Blake for you now."
Please do. And tell him it is of the utmost urgency. Time is of the essence. It's not really, but tell him that.
The servant says, "Yes, of course." And then, under his breath, does he chuckle a little bit?
Oh, interesting.
So, some time passes. Clock ticks. And at last, Meredith Blake enters the room that you are sitting in.
Power play or scatterbrained guy?
He could not look more stereotypical, old-fashioned landed gentry Englishman if he tried. He is literally wearing tweed.
Nice.
He's got a bit of a straggly moustache. Looks quite a bit older than his brother, even though you've heard it's only like 2 years difference.
Okay. Meredith. Lord Blake.
Oh, well...
Mr. Blake?
Lord is, not quite there at, that,
Mr. Blake.
Yes, that will do. And you are Mr...
Oh, I
didn't
think
catch your
Billingham,
name.
I believe, is my surname.
Billingham, okay. I've not heard of... I'm
really?
sorry.
You've not heard of me? I'm a famous detective.
Really?
Yeah, I used to solve a whole bunch of cases.
Oh, is there any that I would know about?
There was the
names?
mystery of the murdered medium, body on the beach, rope and the rich kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any names associated with...
Drowning at the dinner party?
Those. Oh, the gamblers. I do recall something. Horse racing.
Yes,
quite.
I have as small a memory of that as you do.
Interesting.
What else did I solve? Any other cases that were mine?
Oh, that's perfectly good enough. Right, I see you're the...
I sort of passed it on to somebody else, and then I spent some time traveling through time as an old French man, and sometimes a young British man, but from a while ago.
Well, this is quite a life story.
Yeah.
Sounds like something out of a story.
Well, out of a hit podcast, if you'd like to check it out. But back to the real world.
Yes. What can I do for you?
I apologize for my presence. I'm going to be bringing up some old ghosts for you. But that is my job as an old ghost whisperer. I'm investigating. I'm reopening the books on the murder or possible suicide. I'm letting the books stay open of Amias. Let me finish. Grail.
Meredith's face goes a bit revolted, you might say. dragging up a case like that again. Wasn't it traumatic enough?
Look, I understand it was a traumatic experience, and it's going to be traumatic again. I apologize, but in the quest for truth, trauma is a unfortunate side effect.
It was a terrible time for all of us.
I'd like to ask you about the terrible time, but you know what I'd like to do first? Before I ask you anything about this recount, you're shaking your head. I don't know what you'd like to do first.
No.
I believe, Mr. Blake, that you have the painting in question, the unfinished final work of Amias Crail, the portrait of a lady on battery. May I see this painting?
He blinks in surprise. He clearly didn't know that you or anyone else had really heard of this. He just goes, it's quite... Yes, of course, I can take you down to it now.
Please. I am envisioning that when I see this, there'll be some throwaway line of description that I'll jump on and it'll solve the whole case. It'll be like, and he painted her. She was sitting by the balcony, holding a jar of hemlock. And I go, he painted the hemlock right into the painting. What if, whoa, oh my gosh, everybody. Are you ready for this? What if Meredith bought the painting and hid it away because it has incriminating painting evidence in it? There's a portrait of Meredith in the back mixing poisons. Okay, probably not. That would be a bit too much, but I'm very excited. Please, Meredith, show me the painting.
All right. He disappears for a moment, going up to, you believe, his personal bedchambers.
Lovely.
And he returns with a key.
Okay, a key.
It's always locked, even now.
Sure,
And
yeah, fair enough. Let's go.
You understand, it was unfinished, but almost finished. It's nice
what
it needs. It's spectacular. And he takes you down out of the house and around the sort of back.
Interesting. You don't keep it on display, or?
Not exactly. I mean, it's got its own
room
venue.
Okay. Oh, cool. All right. Let's go.
So he goes off, and it's a little bit like a greenhouse, but fully closed in. It's not like made of glass or anything, but that sort of side building.
An arboretum?
That you might get.
No, there's no plants in it either. It's a building.
He unlocks the door, and he opens it up.
An annex.
And it smells a little bit musty in here.
Okay. Yeah, musty like
you
hemlock.
Notice there are shelves all over the place. Shelves, benches, all dusty, all with like rings and marks where things used to sit.
Oh, is this the remains of the famous laboratory?
It distinctly is.
You've given up the world of poisons after a poisoning happened?
Quite, yes. And that's not even going into the fact that there was somewhat of an investigation into my practices with the whole thing, but that wouldn't matter. I couldn't bear to look at the stuff afterwards.
And look, that makes sense to me. You play with poison, someone gets poisoned. I can understand putting it all away.
It was horrifying, yes.
Fair enough.
Got rid of it all.
I'll ask you a bit about boxes and pipettes in a second, but I would love to look at this painting.
In the middle of the room, where there is a bit of blank floor space, there is, and it's not even like hanging or anything, still set up on an easel with like some sort of protective layer over it. Maybe just like a pane of glass sort of sitting over
okay.
it.
My classic image was just on an easel with a piece of like a big
No,
fabric
it's not covered up.
Okay, I can see it straight up.
Yes, you absolutely can. But yeah, perhaps with like a pane of glass over it so that it doesn't get particularly tarnished.
I think, hey, side bar for people. That is a phenomenal way to display art that was never finished by the artist. To be like, it's on display, it's covered in glass, so, it's preserved, but it's on an easel rather than being hung up, not framed, because that would imply a finished element that it doesn't have. It's important that it never came off the easel. It was never done. I think that's actually a very classy, interesting way to display an unfinished final work. I'm just saying, unrelated, I think he's got taste, even though he hid it in his little old laboratory. I think that's actually really sweet.
And just to make sure you get a full effect, he opens the windows to let in the sunlight. There's some plants growing on the outside. It lets in a nice jasmine-y smell to go along with it. Makes it look and just sort of feel nice and calming and lovely. And you look at this painting and how much of an art person are you?
Bill Billingham knows exactly as much about art as Bill Sunderland, which is not much, but he appreciates it.
It is cool.
It's cool?
I'll try to describe the way that I would describe it to you in that case. Is it just a portrait of a young woman sitting? Yes, sort of, but even for the time, she looks a little bit cool. Like, she's wearing really a very small pair of shorts and, like, a loose silken top that's, like, open and, like, just a little bit revealing, but in a relaxed way, not a tantalizing way.
Sure.
And she's looking over a shoulder. She looks maybe a little bit smug, maybe a little bit knowing. It really is a facial expression of that makes it just that little bit. You don't want to say sinister, but it's what makes it not just a pretty girl.
Wonderful.
And it is just a hint. The angles, the way that he's done his shading is just that little bit distorted in a way to draw your eye to parts that you wouldn't normally in a sitting portrait. It's really interesting. It feels really vivid. The words that they use are glorious and powerful.
Ooh, fun. Full of incriminating evidence? Anything incriminating here?
Not
Any
that you
glass?
can
Is she
see.
drinking from a glass?
Definitely not.
Is she pointing with a speech bubble that says, "Look behind you, it's the poisoner Meredith"? Anything like that?
No, nothing like that. But
It's just a wonderful portrait.
Yeah, it's your first glance of young Elsa, and, like, she's beautiful now. You can see how back then she was also just, like, beautiful, but in a much more magnetic, lively way than she is now.
Without the lost spirit
Oh,
that she
yeah.
suffers from now
Yeah.
after the death of Amias
You
Grail.
can absolutely see why he would have been drawn to her.
Listeners, I was really hoping for something more solid, not just a good piece of art.
Sorry.
I look at the back. It's signed, "Your killer, Philip Blake." Anything like that? Anything
I'm sorry.
really incriminating? Come on, can't you just give me the tools to succeed? That's what Pyro is all about, right? People just hand him like a big thing of smoking gun evidence and he puts them away for it.
It's a tricky one.
All right. It truly is wonderful, Meredith. It's a phenomenal painting. I'm a bit sad it's tucked away like this.
Yes, I agree. He was incredibly talented. He might have been a genius. Lots of people called him a genius.
You didn't?
No, I suppose I did. He was fantastic at what he did, but I'm sure you've heard he could behave abysmally.
Well,
He wasn't
fair.
an ordinary man.
No, not at all. You knew Amias for a long time.
Yeah, since boyhood.
Hmm.
We were the two older. Philip, my younger brother.
I've met Philip, yes.
You saw Philip before me? That was inappropriate.
I didn't want to bother you until I had all the evidence.
Yeah.
You're a man of great import. Philip, he just went to market. You stayed home.
Philip would have given you an entirely wrong impression of things.
Oh, really? Why is that? What do you think about? You don't think Philip's a reliable narrator?
Well, he's completely prejudiced against Carolyn. He'd make you believe the worst about her.
He did try.
Yes. You know that after she and Amias got married, he didn't talk to them for a long time. And they would antagonize each other, lightly, of course, but...
Do you think Philip was, how do you put this, super jealous of Amias for stealing the love of his life, Carolyn?
Oh. Never would have occurred to me, quite...
He seemed to be bitter towards Carolyn after the wedding.
I don't... My impression was that he didn't think that anyone was good enough for Amias and that Carolyn's influence would ruin their friendship, but...
What do you say about the fact that at the time of Amias' death, Philip and Carolyn may have been, and I look furtively left and right, like a furtive fiend, having an affair?
Meredith could not look more skeptical at that. That's an outrageous accusation. There is no way. Carolyn was not that sort of person.
It's interesting, though. I've heard some evidence. I've heard some testimony.
Well, then it must be mistaken.
You don't think there was anything between them?
No, absolutely not. That's
What was your impression of
ridiculous.
Carolyn? Do you think Carolyn murdered Amias? Not to put it bluntly, but to put it bluntly.
I didn't know that there was seriously any other option. The suicide theory.
Oh, I'm not sure about suicide, but I'm definitely sure that she didn't kill him.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I'd love to believe that.
believe away. It's true.
Oh, fantastic. I was fond of her always.
Yes, I've
I
heard.
hoped to marry her once upon a time, but that didn't go
that you were
anywhere.
also a contender for Carolyn's hand, and
Yeah,
she ended up with Amias.
Yes, I suppose so. More her. Well, she thought, I suppose, at the time that she wanted that sort of volatility, but
You don't believe she did?
well, she was an incredibly gentle woman. Amias didn't take her seriously. I did. She put on a brave face, especially in these last days, but she was clearly anguished inside.
Anguished by his behaviour in general, or his specific behaviour with Elsa, his relationship with Elsa?
Oh, certainly with that.
You think she believed that he would leave her?
Oh, most certainly. That lunch where that all came out. Goodness.
Tell me about the lunch, in your own words. I've heard about this lunch a few times, but what did you get from it? What was your impression of the lunch? I know it was 16 years ago, but let's pretend you remember it well.
I remember every word. To be honest, it started much earlier than that. Over a month before the murder, when Elsa first came down to Alderbury House.
Oh, really? From the beginning there were?
Absolutely. Carolyn confided in me that he was in love with Elsa. And I told her that, yes, she was a very pretty girl, and yes, Amias strayed a lot, that Carolyn, was the only one that he cared for. But Carolyn believed even then that it might be different. And she said that she would like to take a hatchet to the girl.
Oh.
I told her that was too raw a thing to say. Elsa was a child. She didn't know what she was doing, and no, Amias wasn't falling in love with her. No, not at all. And as we know, Elsa left. But then Amias left too. And then Elsa came back so that Amias could finish the picture. And then, yes, this lunch happened.
God, before you get to the lunch, people take a hatchet to her. Doesn't feel like she was talking about the girl. It feels like she was talking about the painting, but whatever. We'll continue on. It's just the interesting verbiage, you know? So it all came to a head with the lunch.
Yes. The two were making light jabs at each other for days at this point, but I suppose lines...
The two being
Carolyn
and Elsa.
Yes.
Of course.
And it reached a point where Carolyn was talking about some holiday plans for the future, and Elsa decided that was too far, and she started talking about the future. She started talking about when she moves into Alderbury House, the changes that she'd like to make. Carolyn said, "What do you mean when you live here?" And Elsa, point blank, said, "Amias and I are going to be married." Carolyn rebuked it, of course, but Elsa insisted, and Carolyn grew less and less certain. She was faltering. And then Amias came in, and Elsa said, "Ask him yourself."
And what did Amias say? I heard he just walked right out.
Oh, no, not quite. Carolyn said, "Is this true?" And Amias, he went a shade of red I've never seen. He glared at Elsa for bringing it up, said that she was supposed to keep her mouth shut. And then he said, "Oh, it's true enough."
It's true enough?
And then he left.
What does that mean? It's true enough. There's just something fundamentally fishy about this whole situation. It's not right. It's not real. It's not a thing. It's the wrong kind of conflict. This whole thing. Look.
I agree. I suppose, looking back on it, the greatest worry that I should have had was, as Carolyn said, her taking the poison for herself. She said to me that very day. Again, I remember it so clearly. She was in pain. She said, "Everything is gone. I'm finished, Meredith." And then you know what she did after that?
Mm-hmm.
She laughed. And suddenly she snapped into pure happiness. Frightening happiness. To my recollection, she stayed that way until I next saw her the next day.
I mean, to be honest, and this is a bit of a downer thing to say, that feels like someone who's decided to kill themselves. That's a classic, pre-suicide once you've made the decision, you suddenly feel light and happy.
I wholeheartedly believe that she did take it for that reason. And
The
then,
poison.
Yes, and
Your
then
hemlock.
changed her mind later.
Yes, okay. I want to talk... Well, no, I will get to the hemlock. I'll get to the lab. I want to ask one last question about these people.
Mhm.
And by that, I mean one of many. Meredith,
Mm.
what do you think of Elsa? I mean, clearly caused Carolyn a lot of trouble. Carolyn, someone you cared for, that you were an old friend of. What was your opinion of Elsa?
Oh, she was a unique individual. I had lots of thoughts to have on her. Like, she was a very modern girl, I suppose you could say. I told her more than once that I thought that her behavior was cruel to Carolyn, and she laughed and said that I was old-fashioned about that sort of thing. I suppose, to be frank, there is something admirable about wanting to be open and honest about this whole affair business, as opposed to keeping it quiet like Amias wanted to. She even said it would be better for the child, little Carla, if her parents broke up, rather than fighting all the time as they did. She was very confident, but it wasn't real confidence. There was something naive about her as well. She was a child that believed things would work in her favor, and some of the things that she said, it's like she was repeating things that she'd heard others say, rather than forming her own thoughts.
What sort of things do you think she said that was a repetition?
Oh, they sounded like adages, like everything can be bought, even if not with money. As far as I could tell, she saw nothing, she cared about nothing, except for her and Amias running off happily together. She was completely inexperienced. She was unwise. She was cruel, but deeply sad, I believe.
With all that said, why is it, Meredith, that you offered to marry her?
He definitely looks a bit awkward at that. He did not know that you knew about that.
I know everything, Meredith. This is why I talked to everybody before you. This is why I talked to your brother, Meredith, so I could get you and got you with my gotcha-getchums.
I didn't know that he knew that.
He didn't, but I talked to Elsa as well.
Oh.
I talked to everybody, Meredith. You're the final pig on my list.
How is she doing?
Elsa? A broken shell of a woman.
That's as I feared.
Because you didn't marry her.
That's exactly what I feared. You see, the problem here, I feel I was the only one after all this who saw the vulnerability. You don't know how she looked when she came into the Badgery Garden, when we all came down there and saw him lying there. She tried to attack Carolyn for it. She was in hysterics. She wasn't going to live a normal life after that, and I thought that perhaps I could help her rebuild.
Quick sidebar for everybody playing along at home. I'm just fishing for this, for something, for some moment, some lightning strike of revelation that will help me finish this, like, make a real decision about this mystery that isn't just, well, kind of feels like, you know.
It's okay.
If I had to solve it now, I know what it would be. I know what it kind of feels like, but I don't have this sudden flash of enlightenment that I'm looking for. So I'm just probing, and we're hoping to get there. This is what we're all doing together. We're in this as a team, you and me, fighting against the terrible narration of Dani, the monster who keeps keeping the truth from us, but you and me will wrest it from her cold and clammy hands.
Feel my hand. Feel my hand. Feel my hand.
That's not...
It's clammy.
That's pretty
but
clammy,
it's not
actually.
cold.
It's not cold. Her warm and clammy hands.
That's so much worse.
Are you talking about me? I'm a little warm clam.
Oh, no, it's clammy.
That's
not clammy, that's clammy.
How you going?
It's getting so much worse.
Where were we? That's right. Meredith, you found a body. But you didn't find the body.
No.
Cecilia found the body.
Carolyn, I believe, found the body.
Carolyn found the body. Cecilia found Carolyn. Then Cecilia found you. Then you found Elsa. Then Elsa found the body. Could you tell me about that? Like, what happened? What are your memories of this discovery of death?
Oh, let's see how much of the day I can recall. He pauses, takes some time to consider. You get the impression that he likes to get an
Consider-
idea of what he's going to say before he says it.
A man after my own heart
he's
before
a-
I started this podcast.
He's a little bit uncertain. He also is a landed man. He doesn't have to think about things like a ticking clock very often.
No,
So
apparently
he takes
not.
his time.
2 weeks later, you received by mail. I've remembered.
I woke up late that morning.
Yes.
I
Okay, yeah, tell me about the morning of.
and
You
I
woke up late.
I heard some noises after I'd gone outside. I stretched on my balcony, and I heard some noise coming from the direction of the laboratory.
You heard noise
Yes.
on the Ooh.
Yes,
Ooh.
when I went down to investigate, I believed that a cat may have gotten in the window. Why do I think a cat might have gotten in?
Because, wait, I can solve this. You saw... No, I got nothing, sorry.
A cat is on my mind for that, and
Cat. Because of Angela was also the name of your pet cat.
I
Do you have a cat called Socrates?
no.
Okay, continue on.
So I investigated, and a window was indeed slightly open. And while I was there, I noticed that the hemlock, the conine bottle, was slightly misaligned. I went to put it back where it was supposed to be, and then I realized that it was nearly empty. And that wasn't supposed to be.
So, something was taken. The bottle was left,
Yes.
but
yes.
the liquid had been taken.
Yes. That was my impression.
Were
at
you
the time.
missing a pipette?
A pipette? I didn't.
Do you have a box of pipettes?
No.
Do you have a box in your laboratory that you would have been
no.
given to Angela at some point?
Oh, given
Think
to...
back. Angela held a box.
Oh, no.
Believe in boxes.
No, the only things that would have been in boxes then were, I suppose, some bases, and other things that you might need around the house, or perhaps other pieces of substances that were able to be stored in such a manner. Nothing deadly, you understand, but, just for instances, things like certain fertilizers and certain plants. Catnip.
That's why you were thinking about cats.
Yes, that
You had
that was in the windowsill.
You had catnip in a box.
Yes, right by the windowsill, actually. That's an interesting point.
What happens when a person drinks catnip beer? Does it taste bad? It's just annoying?
It will taste awful for them, and it will make them feel disgusting.
Okay. Catnip in a box. What is the form of catnip? Is it liquid?
No, certainly not
No,
when it's in
it's-
a boxed form. Crushed powdered was
powder.
how I kept it.
Okay. So Angela's memory of a box was stealing catnip to put into a beer bottle so he'd have a gross beer. She had done that before. She'd put salt in his drink at one point. She was going to do the same thing. Classic prank. Gotcha. Catnip in your beer, dummy. Blah 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 blah. I'm Angela. That was the plan. That was what Angela did. That was the bottle she was seen tampering with, putting catnip in a bottle. She had grabbed some catnip. But because she had been putting something in a bottle, Carolyn assumed the catnip was conine and thought that Angela had poison. I think that's... I'm tucking these facts away into the what Angela did pile, but that's okay. Continue on. You found your conine was missing.
Yes.
So you called Philip.
Well, yes, I first of all, I locked the window, obviously, locked the lab door behind me. The door's always locked. I can't think how we missed a window. And I questioned my staff. They all denied entering. And so, yes, then I rang Philip for advice. And I was definitely concerned because obviously everyone had been in my laboratory the previous day. So I then went. Philip said we should meet, so I went over to Albury. Who did I? The governess. What was her name? Cecilia. Cecilia. That's the one. I passed her on the way. She was looking for Angela, who had absconded for the morning, apparently from her chores.
She was catnipping the beer.
I met Philip and we walked together while discussing. We walked through the grounds, quite near the battery garden, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And yes, that was a point. We went up to chat with them. Elsa was not there at that point. I believe she had gone up to get a coat or something of that nature.
Okay, yep. This matches my understanding. She'll come back and she'll see you there.
Yes. And so when we went, Elsa wasn't there. In fact, Carolyn and Myas were both in there. They were arguing. In fact, it sounded like they were arguing about Angela.
Because you were being sent off to boarding school.
Yes. I distinctly heard Amaya say that it was a settled fight and he would see her packing.
All these things, I keep hearing them and thinking I need to dissect them, like send her packing. That doesn't say send her to boarding school. It says he'll ask her to pack Elsa's bags to send her home. I'm looking for these twists and turns of phrases. I should stop. Please continue.
Elsa returned, so we left. Unfortunately, Philip and I, we didn't make any headway on the discussion about what we should do. He did make the suggestion that at the time I thought was absurd, that perhaps Carolyn or Elsa had stolen it to poison one another.
You thought it was absurd at the time, but surely you know, dummy.
Yes. Yes, I couldn't regret this more, but we just didn't. You wonder if you should have done something and been more assertive in the situation, but we didn't know anything.
No, I understand. Look, I understand. You can't. Anytime something goes missing, you can't suddenly think a murder's about to happen. Like, I get it. Don't feel bad about your actions in the past.
Yes.
It's so rare I tell a character one of these that, but you can chill, man.
And then we agreed that we would discuss the matter more after lunch. We sat on the terrace. Carolyn and Angela were both there. Angela complained that she would rather swim than do chores. Carolyn brought us some beers and then took a beer down to Amyas.
Carolyn brought you beers?
Yes, well, she...
On the way to going down to Amyas, she had 3 beers with her?
No, just 2 for us, and then afterwards she went and got this
How are your
separate
beers?
one. Completely normal.
Okay. So she gave you a beer, she gave Philip a beer, then she got a 3rd beer to bring down to Amyas.
That's as I remember it, yes. And then, after sitting for some time, I went for a walk in the garden. I ended up actually in an area that was quite high up. It overlooked the Battery Garden, so you understand I wasn't eavesdropping, but I did see and hear some more conversation between Amyas and Elsa while painting was going on. They were talking about, well, she was talking about their plans for the future, and then complaining about how stiff posing made her. And he complained about the same, that he was stiff and sore and rheumatic, and that she would marry an invalid.
Oh, wait, he said that or she said that?
He said that.
Okay, that's good. He's finally acknowledging a marriage.
And the bell rang for lunch. Elsa stood up. I went down to walk with the 2 of them back up, but Amaya said he wasn't coming. And lunch happened. Carolyn seemed perfectly normal. And then Carolyn and Cecilia left. And then I left. But then Cecilia came running up to me in the grounds and told me to call a doctor. Quite shortly after, as I said, Elsa was absolutely hysterical. I believe Cecilia took charge quite well of the situation, gave her a sedative, kept Angela away from the situation. She kept everything under control to stop it getting any worse and to stop anyone attacking anyone else over perceived guilt. Like Elsa screaming at Carolyn that she did it. Even Philip said, "You've killed my best friend."
I'm getting a sudden feeling. I've been discounting Cecilia so much. But I was just, while we're going through this, I'm listening to all these details, I'm trying to think to myself, okay, Carolyn didn't do it. Angela didn't do it. Angela catnipped his drink. Carolyn thought that Angela had done it and so covered up the murder wrong. Elsa, I do not believe for a second that she did it. I don't think Amyas killed himself. That just doesn't feel right. I don't think Philip did it. And I'm starting to think, like, so who could have done it? It's Philip, it's Meredith, or it's Cecilia. Meredith, it doesn't feel like the type talking to him. It doesn't quite line up. I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Maybe it's Philip. But I don't know. I'm feeling like I need to start reassessing she's Cecilia. She's probably okay. I don't know. I just haven't been asking people about Cecilia. If it turns out it was Cecilia and instead I talked to the murderer first, and you've all had this time to go, wait a minute, think about this, then good, congratulations on a good mystery, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Did I learn anything new there? I don't think I did. I think that was all confirmation of the same steps. Carolyn was there when Angela was being scolded for dealing with the beer bottles. I want to talk to Meredith about the tour. Meredith, thank you for the recount. Did you finish the recount there? I feel like I may have interrupted you to talk about Cecilia, to my listeners.
No, I just, all I can really add is that there are police reports, court records, I'm sure. No one could really capture the extenuating circumstances here. If you say that Carolyn is innocent, then fantastic, but the entire situation was so emotionally fraught that if it comes out that it did go the way that everybody believed it did, it was completely, I don't want to say justified, that's cruel, but
I understand.
Expected.
I understand. The day before the murder. First of all, actually, when did you close up this lab? Like right afterwards? Have you been in here since?
Well, very soon after.
Can I have a look through? Is your lab equipment here?
Oh, goodness. No, it's long gone.
Were you missing? I'm looking for a pipette. Did you have glass pipettes?
I generally prefer the newer plastic variety, so no, typically no. Normally the glass ones are, well, I suppose, a more feminine thing, you might say. They're more used for perfumes and the like, or writing implements.
Yeah, that's what Angela said. Why writing? I don't understand that writing implement. Like an ink dropper?
Apparently, like ink well shifting.
Okay.
The 1960s were a wild time.
Can you tell me what happened on the tour? Who was there? I know you told a story about Hemlock. What do you remember? Can you cast your mind back to that day? It was after the contentious lunch?
It was.
You thought, I'll take all these people to my poison factory, that'll calm them down?
Oh. Again, this is going to look extraordinarily foolish in retrospect. I believe it was Carolyn's suggestion.
Oh, come on. All right.
I believe she expressed interest in some of my work. She may have even been her who brought up the idea of poisons.
Well, she was possibly trying to kill herself.
So,
everyone was there. All pigs and Amias and Carolyn?
Yes. What? Yes.
You're the pigs. Sorry.
Carolyn, Amias, Philip, Elsa, Angela. Yes.
Was Cecilia on the tour?
Oh, no.
Interesting. Okay.
But so we went through some of the less volatile substances, but, I know what people want. They want the exciting stuff, and especially young Angela, she was...
Loves poison.
No. I don't even think it was the poisons that she was interested in. It was when I brought up Socrates.
Of course. You brought up Socrates, famous hemlock drinker.
Yeah, precisely. And I have many, there are records of such things, including people who watched him die and...
Yes, I feel like you told a story about
I read.
Painful and aggravating death.
Quite. A unique word there.
Yeah, I made it up. Just out of the right vibe.
Exactly. And, I thought it would cultivate an appreciation for such things, and the more people appreciate these plants, the better. It's frustrating that I don't work with them anymore, because I feel like modern medicine has really left some of the traditional plants behind. And we've got to know, it's a dose that makes the poison and all of that. But
Paracelsus.
you know that in small doses, there are substances like this that can cure a cough.
Okay.
So we can't just ignore them because they can be poisonous, and this was what I was trying to get across.
Okay.
But I didn't touch the bottle at that point, and but I did. I was quite certain that it was almost full.
Okay.
They found Carolyn's fingerprints on it, I believe. Only hers. I hadn't. I cleaned quite regularly and hadn't touched it for some time. And not long after that, we left. I must have had the windows open. I don't remember closing the windows, but I must have because I remember the jasmine smell. But hold on, it was September. Jasmine doesn't grow in September. Why? Ugh, I must be remembering things wrong.
Maybe a jasmine perfume.
Jasmine perfume? Yes,
Carolyn had a jasmine perfume.
She did.
Which she emptied out so she could put poison in the bottle.
I didn't remember that part of the case, but
was that where the conine was found? In a perfume bottle? Did I write that down? I'm going to check my notes. Quentin Fogg had empty conine hemlock. No, okay, I didn't write that down. Was it found in a
perfume bottle?
Perfume bottle?
Yes, it was.
All right, okay.
Well, the dregs of it were found.
Dregs?
In a perfume bottle in her dresser.
Okay, hold on. This feels like there's... that also puts in the world that Cecilia, learning from Angela that pranks are great, went into her friend / her employer's bedroom and went, "Ooh, you evil ragamuffin, Amias, I'm going to ruin your beer by putting some of this lovely perfume in it, and you'll drink it, and you'll say, oh, it tastes like perfume." And you'll be razzled and dazzled, and by my wonderful prank. Here I go, stealing, pour. Now, for him to drink this and be slightly bothered, and then later on go, "Oh no, I killed him! I killed him with poison, I didn't even know it." There's a possibility that this could have happened. And maybe not Cecilia, maybe someone with a better voice and attitude.
I suppose access would be a problem then. When would she get access to Amias's glass and all that?
When would she get access to Amias's glass? Okay, let's ignore the Cecilia. Let's kick her away. Good. Oh, I've been kicked. Hello. But someone could have not wanted to poison him. Like if you pull poison from a cone, let's assume that Carolyn might have wanted to kill herself. A bit wild, but I'm not going to put it past her. She was distraught. She was overwrought. She was fraught. So maybe she wanted to kill herself. She takes the poison, puts it in her perfume bottle, says later on, "I'll drink this and die." Don't know why you would do that after hearing about the terrible, terrible death of Socrates. You'd be like, are there any nicer poisons? But okay, whatever. She takes it. She does want to kill herself. There is now existent in the world, not the catnip. Angela probably did it, right? Go to your sister's room, take her perfume, put the perfume in the beer, make the beer taste bad. She didn't know she was poison. She didn't pull poison out of a bottle marked poison. She pulled poison out of a bottle marked "I'm perfume and I'm going to taste bad when you drink me." Catnip be damned. I don't know what's up with the catnip. This ignores... I'm forgetting the catnip. Did Angela actually do it? Maybe Angela did it. She didn't know she did. It wasn't intentional. She took the poison from the perfume bottle, perched on the desk. I'm not coming with the P's again, everybody. Of Carolyn. Take your sister's perfume, poison your dumb brother-in-law's drink. Is that enough? Is that a thing? Again, I don't have proof of it, but there's a believable story there. Maybe if I mention it to Angela, it might spark a memory, and if it doesn't, maybe I move on. Oh, yes, sorry, Meredith, do you have anything else to say?
Very little else, I recall leaving, and it was suspicious. There again, when you look back on it, there are so many things that you feel you should have noticed. I opened the door for everyone to leave. I remember it so vividly. Elsa went first, but then she stayed to chat with me. And then Philip, then Angela, and then Amias. And then there was a delay before Carolyn came out. I didn't see what she was doing. I was looking at Elsa and talking with Elsa. But when Carolyn came out, she looked perhaps a little flushed, a little excited almost. It seems so obvious now.
Let me check my question. I'm checking my question list. Meredith. I've got his recount. Pipettes. Great. Mystery box. Catnip. Missing hemlock. I'm pretty happy. The tour, the Hemlock story, nothing new there, to be honest. Not much, except for perfume and things like that. Happy. Love for Carolyn? Nothing new. He doesn't seem to, he doesn't be the type to suddenly say, I loved her so much, but interesting. Painting? Saw it. Proposal? Talked about it. Meredith's done. I'm done with Meredith. I'm right at the end. I'm right at the end of this, I think. I think I'm going to need more time. I'm not enough to do a denouement yet. I need to follow up on loose ends. I need to ask Angela about perfume.
You gotta rewind some pigs.
I need to talk to Philip about the affair. I haven't talked to Philip since discovering this illicit
Come
love
on,
affair.
Bill.
Do I need to talk to Cecilia again? Screw her. You were on my list for a little bit, but you're back off, Cecilia. I think I gotta talk to a couple more people, find these last little bits, and I'm gonna put it all together. And next episode, you mark my words, this episode right now says 7 of 8, because next episode, I'm gonna kill everybody. Thank you for listening to Solve This Murder. To submit your own guesses for whodunit, send an email to solvethismurderpod@gmail.com. We read every theory we're sent and award the greatest sleuth with a place on our wall of detectives. To support the show, you can sign up for our Patreon and receive weekly bonus episodes, monthly videos, and full access to all parts of new Solve This Murder mysteries on day one. Thanks to all our patrons for supporting us, thanks to Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for our theme music, and thanks again to all of you for listening.